people were buying horses across the country and were scared to death to have them hauled, sight unseen. Sometimes they don't know the hauler, it's just contracted, and they're like, I want to insure my horse before, it gets on that trailer. By the grace of God, I now have 7 agents across the United States in 4 different states right now. And God picked each one of those women. That comes naturally if you do what you're passionate about and you treat people like you want to be treated. As cliche as that sounds, that golden rule they taught us in school is definitely one to live life by.
Welcome back to the Wealthy Cowboy Show. I'm Crockett Crothers, your host, and today we got Cori Cosper on. If you have social media or go to horse sales, you probably see covered by Cori everywhere. And it's cool to see through social media, all my friends that I've had on here kind of see their progression and building something cool and building a following and everything. So It's cool to have you on.
Well, thanks for having me.
So I want to go through, like all our other episodes, go through your background, kind of where you came from, and then we'll get into the business side of it.
Born and raised in Fort Worth on Eagle Mountain Lake. I was very passionate from a young age about horses, and no one really in my family. My dad was a rodeo cowboy, rough stock rodeo cowboy. So there wasn't really anything, no blueprint set out for me that was like, you're going to love horses. It was literally just, I was born with it.
Yeah.
So I was always finding ways to get involved with my friends at high school rodeoed and find out all this stuff. And my parents were always kind of like, okay, my grandpa started an Allstate agency in Saginaw in the early 70s. He passed away in 2001. My mom took it over. And I grew up basically after school under her desk, kind of just helping her file in the summer. And that office was kind of my hub for, what I learned about insurance early on. I was hearing professional conversations. I was under that desk hearing her overcome objections, all of those things from a young age. And so she actually retired in 2015. And I took it over, and it was quite I guess I've always gone against the grain, Crockett, and everyone was expecting me to take it over. So that was kind of a bummer to me. Like, there's no excitement here.
Yeah.
But I took it over and I loved it. I was super passionate about it. But in that, my income grew. And the first thing I did was buy a cutting horse. As soon as I could afford it, I thought, I made it. This is what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
So when I was not managing my agency in Fort Worth, I was showing horses. You just had him on the show, but my very first trainer was Cody Porterfield. Bless his soul. He was so patient with me, teaching me the ins and outs of the industry. And we laughed a lot. We had a lot of comical moments. But as I was going to these shows and talking to this new sphere of influence I had in this industry, there was one common question that I kept getting. And I would be loping my horse in the warm-up pen, and they'd be like, hey, aren't you in insurance? Can you insure our horse? We want to look at insuring this new horse we have. And I was referring that business out like hotcakes. Mm-hmm. Because when you own an Allstate agency, you're exclusive to Allstate. Mm-hmm. They did not have any farm and ranch products. They would not insure a property or a home if there was any livestock or equine on the premises. So
you're very detached from the industry that you like.
Priuses and apartments is what I was doing. That did not light a fire under my rear every morning. I was not passionate about it. I was very grateful for the generations of residual income that I was sitting on. Mm-hmm. And a lot of those customers were my grandpa's old friends. So there was some sentimental value to that book of business, and I wanted to do the best job I could for my family. So I did not take that lightly. But one day, I've always been kind of entrepreneurial minded, kind of blazed my own trail. And I just referred my last horse. And I thought, this person that I've been referring these to has done me good, taking care of these people that I've sent them to. But what am I doing?
Mm-hmm.
I was miserable, to say the least. Corporate America had their thumb on top of my head, telling me what I couldn't do. And I was growing more in love with showing horses in the equine industry and the sport of cutting. And I got my mom's blessing, and I said, I know this is going to sound crazy, and I'm not really asking you, I'm telling you, but I would like to sell the Allstate agency and start an agribusiness insurance agency. And she literally thought I had lost it. My mom has always been my biggest cheerleader. Growing up, she was the pageant mom, the cheer mom, the anything you want to do mom. She probably doubted me quite a bit. But that's what we do as parents, right? We love our kids and we embrace what they're passionate about. And she could clearly see that I was serious about this. And she said, Cori, you've got my graces if you can sell it. And I believe in you. I believe in your vision and what you have. And that is from day one been, give her so much credit for that. But I put the book of business on the market, and it had sold, closed, and funded in 17 days. We had such a high retention rate from those generations, literally, of catering to our customers in the best way possible. And so
does that just sell to another Allstate entity type thing? Or?
Yes. So another buyer, they actually own it's the Jones family in Arlington. They own the Jones agency in Arlington. So they purchased my Allstate agency in Saginaw. They've done a great job with it. They still own it. And my customers that we left there, it was very important to me that the right buyer came along. It was a very sentimental book of business to me and my family. So they've done an excellent job taking care of those customers. So needless to say, it happened so fast. And my mom was like, oh my gosh, like what is happening? She never expected. I think she took me seriously, but she was like kind of half cocked about it. Like, it'll be a couple of years.
Yeah, probably pass.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it.
That put us on the fast track. And I had already been entertaining reaching out to these carriers, doing my research of who sells the best horse insurance product, who insures the most cattle. I mean, I was like nerding out on all sorts of things that had to do with livestock insurance. And I remember the day that we closed on that agency, I got a call from one of the carriers, one of my preferred carriers that I had wanted so bad. That was like my first pick that I wanted to insure livestock with. And they said, like, your background, everything's super impressive, with your Allstate stuff, but you're just not gonna fit in our box. And I remember that was the day that we closed, and I thought,
what am I going to do now?
Yeah, I was like, plan B. Well, plan B, I called that carrier, which is American Reliable. And Jason Collier is the president of their mortality division. And I had to it was like I was selling myself to the devil. I was just like, Jason, I promise I'm not going to let you down. He was like, you just don't have any experience. And this is a cutthroat, niche type of insurance. But he was like, I'm going to take a chance. I need you to commit to $500,000 your first year. And I thought, whatever you need me to do, I'm going to do it. Just give me the chance. Yeah. I mean, I was like guns blazing, ready to go. And I told him that this other company, I won't say who they were, but said that I didn't fit in their box. And that year, I insured $1.2 million in premium and blew the socks off of them. And that other carrier called and they said, hey, we really wanted to revisit this appointment. And I said, I really appreciate it, but the relationship that I've built with American Reliable is a special one. And they treat my customers like royalty, just like, what was instilled with me without Allstate agency. And I give a lot of credit to that because I might not have had that kind of respect for the sentimental importance of a relationship like that with those carriers. So anyways, that's how it kind of all got rolling, and it happened real fast. So.
Well, I think it's cool. Like, that's kind of what I'm trying to do too. Like I'm doing the credit card processing now, and I want to relate it back to the people I want to do business with ag businesses and feed stores and Western stores and ag products. Just like you had the insurance background, and you're like, this would be cool if we could incorporate it into the stuff that I actually like, which you did, obviously. And yeah, it was cool when you got started. Like, I mean, I want to hear some of the strategy behind that because, like I said, everywhere there was a horse sale. Every time there was something in Fort Worth, you were always there. You're posting like several times a day, it seemed like, on social media. And it seemed like you blew up overnight, which I know that wasn't necessarily the case, but it did seem to go fast. If you own a business that sells a product or service in the Western or ag industries and you want that business to grow, go to the link down below, fill out the form, and we'll see if you qualify for free social media marketing.
You know that old saying, fake it till you make it? Okay. Well, I remember my first horse sale that I set up at, and I won't blast that horse sale, but it was terrible. And I thought, I'm just going to go see what this is about. So I have my little like folding lawn table, my little lawn chair, and my banner. I like roll out, and nobody knew who I was. And I come and sit down, and I mean, these horses, I think the top seller might have been like $5,000, like backyard, whatever.
Yeah. It's going to take a while to get to $500,000 with those.
I remember I called my mom like a whoop puppy on the way home, and I was like, I don't know if I can do this. Like, I don't know if this is going to work. I mean, I was so discouraged. And she was like, well, did you learn anything from it? And I said, yeah, I did. There's a lot to learn from today. So we always still laugh and crack up about how that all started, because I was just like, man, I'm so worried. I don't know if this is gonna work or not. But how it kind of got started was hashtags on social media became they were really kind of blowing up on Instagram, Facebook, algorithms type stuff whenever I had started Covered by Cori. And the first few horses that I insured were in my close sphere of influence. And coincidentally enough, both of them posted pictures of their new cutting horses they had just purchased and put hashtag Covered by Cori. Thanks for insuring our horse. My horse is hashtag Covered by Cori. And I thought, well, that's kind of cool. Like, that's kind of catchy. Well, then people just thought, well, that's cool. I want my horse covered by Cori. And then I thought it was just awesome. So I'm in the middle, of the night, and I'm like, oh, man, I had Teal Blake make this cool watercolor logo for me. And it was badass. I was so excited about it. But it was like, it wasn't eye-catching. You're just like, that's cool. But I wanted, like, hit him in the jaw, like, that is Covered by Cori. Like, you could see it from a mile away. So, there's an app called Fiverr or Fiverr. Have you heard of that?
Fiverr, yeah.
So, I'm, like, researching on there different, like, people that can make a logo. So, I was just kind of teetering with it. And I found this girl in the Philippines. I was broke as a joke at this point. I had put all my money into other things that was like horse flesh, So I reach out to this girl and she's like, I can make you a logo for $15. I was like, sold. I was like, this is the color palette I want. And I want it to kind of look like this. I said, I want a horse hoof and a cow hoof in it. She's like, okay. And because she's in a different time zone, she's like, give me about 24 hours and I'll send it back. She sends it back. It's like 2:00 in the morning. My phone goes off and I look at it. I sit straight up in bed, Crockett, and I was like, that's it right there. And that was the first hashtag Covered by Cori logo. Lime green, obnoxious. I mean, like, boom, right there. And from then I started, playing around with, making graphics and stuff on social media and really embracing like the people that did business with me, like sharing their successes in their open pen or at a ranch rodeo or whatever they were doing. And people love that. It was right after COVID. So the world starts spinning again. I have to give some thanks to COVID because I think that's really where my business just took off because of the online sale platform. People were buying horses across the country and were scared to death to have them hauled. Sight unseen. Sometimes they don't know the hauler. It's just contracted. And they're like, I want to insure my horse before, it gets on that trailer. So that was a big time attribute to my growth right there. So I was doing, I think COVID really made the world kind of, the social media world take a big turn. And in my case, it worked out good. So if somebody bought a horse, we're posting it. We can't wait to see what this colt does and following up with them. And it just really took off organically like that. And because of my background with Allstate agency and just growing up around it, hearing how my grandpa, my mom treated people. They looked them in the eye, they shook their hand, and with insurance, you're not selling something tangible. You're selling your word. So I grew up listening to that. And because of that, I think that is why this has organically blown up so quickly, in my opinion, because I have stood by my word. And I have the references to back it up. And because of the volume that we submit to our carriers, if there is a problem where, they're kind of jacking around on paying out a claim, I can usually, get some stuff done because of the volume that we're submitting. And I think that's worth something. My target customer is not the person that is shopping for the cheapest rate. And I advertise that you get what you pay for with horse insurance, with cattle insurance. And if you're looking for the cheapest rate, it ain't me. But I guarantee you, when shit hits the fan, you're going to have the best experience with us, hands down, with claims. So, and that's what, I train my agents to. It's not just something that me and my mom do either. Oh, and I didn't mention, now she works in my agency. Yeah. She came out of retirement. She's like, what in the world's going on? The conversations, because she doesn't come from a horse background. So she's very professional, customer service. She can talk to a brick wall, but somebody will ask, she's going to kill me for saying this, but I got to tell y'all because it's so funny. She answers the phone, Covered by Cori, this is Sharon. And she said, Cori's in the office, actually. Let me put you on a brief hold, and I'm going to ask her about this, and I'll get you back just a second. She's in another office. She goes, Cori, this man wants a quote on his halflinger. And she said, is there such thing as a whole-linger? Do I need to ask him what the other half is? Just conversations like that we've had that have just been priceless. But, she's so professional. She gets back on there and, okay, sir, yes, absolutely. We can. So just educating her, and the camaraderie that we have in the office is just excellent. But, Yeah. It's been really fun.
That's a huge thing in any company is the culture. And then
yes.
For your employees. And then also, like you're talking about, the service is huge. You got to give good service, especially like in that industry. And that's the industries that I've been involved in and had experience selling was insurance and credit card processing, which is boring. Nobody wants to jack with it or think about it. But when it's time to get paid, they want their money. So that's when they start thinking about it when something's going wrong. But if you can get somebody that you trust and know, like, and trust, right?
Well, and Crockett, you've learned thus far in sales that it don't matter what you're selling. If they like you and they trust you, you can sell them that pen in your hand and market the crap out of it.
Yeah.
But if they can't trust you and they can tell you're not real passionate about what you're doing, who wants, it is boring.
Yeah.
Nobody wakes up in the morning like, I'm going to call my insurance agent today. That just sounds like so much fun.
Yeah.
But you got to make it. You got to make it that way.
Mm-hmm. So, it's definitely a learning curve, and it's staying in front of people, staying top of mind, and
that goes back to the social media question that you brought up. But there was a lot of trial and error with, I would post like, I don't know, one of those memes that you see that's like pixelated but it went viral, and I would share something like that and there would be like 200 likes. And then I would like spend all night, like half a bottle of wine and all this building this graphic that I'm so articulate about. And then I post it and it's like 1 like.
Yeah.
It's my mom. And I was like, dang it, that did not work.
Yeah. I've definitely seen that. Like you said, the stuff you put the most effort into and the most time, and you're like, this provides a lot of value, or this is so cool looking. And then either nobody sees it or nobody likes it. And then stuff that you just throw out there, it just takes off. That's, so what I've seen is like, you want to do as much good quality as you can, but sometimes you just do as much as you can and something will take off.
Yeah. There's an art to it, but I think what's most important is whether I'm at a sale or I'm set up at a cutting in Fort Worth at Will Rogers for 4 months out of the year, or wherever I am, when I'm talking to someone, that is an opportunity. And I did an interview on the Cowboy Channel, I guess it was last spring, and Shay Durfee, she said, why horse insurance? Like, why are you so passionate about horse insurance? Well, I knew I was really good at business and I loved horses. So like we said earlier, I found a way to mesh those together. But I'm also super strong in my faith. And I believe that God gives us, we're born with our gifts and our talents. And it's our job here on earth to learn how to use those to be disciples for him. And so by using those gifts and talents that he's given me, I've been able to reach and talk to people all over the United States from all different walks of life, all different demographics. And you can have your gifts and talents, but it's ignorant to be proud of them if you don't use them. And I feel like that is what I've done with marketing Covered by Cori, with educating people on down to the health of their horse, how to, they ask me all sorts of questions about ulcers and colic and everything else. But just using this platform to reach those people all over the United States.
Yeah, that's something that I hear a lot in the podcasts and stuff I listen to and read and sales training and all that, is like, you want to really believe in what you're selling. And then you also have to believe if those people don't buy what you have, they're going to be worse off.
Absolutely. I love that.
Yeah. And it's hard because I don't want to come across salesy and pushy and stuff. But if you have that belief, I mean, you need to get a hard no and be like, okay, I'll leave you alone now, but you're making a mistake, you know?
Yeah.
So
I'll talk to you in 6 months.
Yeah. Yeah, it's hard. And I think, but also like I said, you went personally to all the sales and you built that up. You were there. And I never saw, I knew about horse insurance before, but it was like a distant thought. Like you never knew who the person was or saw booths or whatever, but every event you were there and you're on my feed all the time. So
good.
Marketing is a huge thing.
Yeah, it is. It is. You can definitely have these days, there's, you have to be flexible with the times. And I actually learned that from my grandpa when he started that Allstate agency. They just did signed paper apps and maybe a handshake, and they shared a cigarette and a cup of coffee, and then they left with a check. And then he mailed that off to corporate. And my mom, shortly before she took over, Allstate corporate called my grandpa and said, Mr. Jacobs, we're going to be sending somebody by the office here in the next few weeks with a computer. And this guy's going to drop it off, hook it up for you, and he's going to teach you how to use it. And my mom was like, oh boy, this is going to be an interesting day. Well, this man from corporate pulls up, unloads this, honking big old thing, unloads it. And she said my grandpa had his feet up on the desk and he's smoking a cigarette. And he said, you can just put it over there in that corner and I'll tend to it later, And my mom was like, there was no telling him anything. So she said a couple weeks went by and it sat in the corners collecting dust, and they're slowly getting letters from corporate saying, we're not doing paper apps anymore. We're not doing this, that. And she said they had a town hall meeting at corporate in Irving, and all of his buddies, they were like, oh man, that made it so much easier. And we wrote 10 times the insurance and all this stuff. And my grandpa, she said he came back from that meeting. He was just fighting mad, and he hooked that computer up and figured out how to work it and was just pissed off about it. But he would never admit it, but it did make things a lot easier, obviously. Yeah. And so that was kind of a lesson that I learned early on, is that, if you aren't flexible with the times, I mean, who would have thought, even when we were in college, that this would be a huge part of the way that we make our income. And so, if you're not flexible with the times are going to leave you behind. So that's something that I have really tried to learn, to dive into, and to be open-minded that what does my business model look like if Facebook crashes and goes away forever? Will I be okay? So that's why I've built coveredbycori.com, and we get 4 to 5 leads a day of people wanting horse insurance, and I disperse those out to my agents, and they contact them within a few hours. And I really tried to drive majority of the traffic to the website, and not talk so much business or get talk leads really on like Facebook Messenger or anything like that. We really try to mainstream them going to the website for that reason, just the fear of Facebook. You never know. Yeah. You never know. So,
yeah, I just had that conversation that a guy lost his page and had a bunch of followers on it and all this stuff, and they really didn't have an answer. So you definitely want to try to own the platform that you have and build your contact list and diversify through different platforms or whatever you got to do. But you can't, it's very important to utilize social media, but you also don't want to put all your eggs in that basket.
Yeah, for sure.
Because they can cancel you at any time.
Yeah, you're at their mercy. Where with a website domain, like you own that website. Of course, there's still stuff that can go wrong, but you have so much more control over that website. So, yeah.
So now you have agents.
Yes.
When did you decide that you wanted to scale and start hiring agents and not be doing it all yourself?
Well, my little boy, Canyon, he's 7. and I was packing him around all those sales. And just like I was under my mom's desk, he was under my sale booth. And he was like, man, this is rough, Mom. He was having to, from an early age, carry around, all my sale apps and my stuff from my booth and all of that. And he's like, I just want to tell him that he has no clue what a legend Steve Friskup is as an auctioneer. So he's grown up listening to Steve Friskup. So now he'll hear Steve talk somewhere. I'll be watching like Coffee with the Colonel on Facebook. And he's like, hey, isn't that Steve guy? Because he literally grew up with him in his ear under that little sale booth. But it was just getting hard on him. It's hard on me as a single mom, seeing him not being able to spend the quality time, with him. And I loved it. I still love it. I crave it whenever there's, an awesome horse sale, a good production. That's my jam. I just love the camaraderie and the conversations and the fellowship. But to answer your question, it was really wanting to be a better mom, be more present with him, be the team mom, be the T-ball coach, whatever, pour more into him. And so I was trying to figure out, I was making every dollar that I made Crockett in commissions, I was putting right back into a sponsorship, whether it was a ranch rodeo, team roping, what have you, and was just living off of income from selling that Allstate agency. So, whatever business I wrote through Covered by Cori, when I insured a horse, it went right back into the business. And as you know, with residual income, it's slim pickings for the first few years until you get that built up. So we learned to really like ramen noodles and hot dogs and awesome burritos. But I wanted to just be a better mom. And I thought, okay, I ran this Allstate agency and I had 6 agents that worked in that agency. I knew how to run an insurance agency. But one thing they don't tell you as a business owner, which I think should be the first and foremost, is there's no training, there's no blueprint, but hiring people, that whole process, it makes my teeth itch. I hate it. By the grace of God, I now have 7 agents across the United States in 4 different states right now. And God picked each one of those women to be in my life and to be a part of Covered by Cori. We have each other's back 110%. We bounce ideas off of each other. The culture that we have just organically created together has been, I couldn't have even had a business plan to make it that good. That has been a huge, huge blessing for me. But starting that transition of how I got to where I am now from, okay, I need an agent to go to this sale for me, or, I was getting leads. Overnight, my Facebook was blowing up, Snapchat, you name it. And I was just inundated. I didn't leave the house. Some days I didn't brush my teeth till noon because my phone just kept ringing. I was just hammering those quotes out. So I just made a Facebook post. I'm looking to hire, a couple agents. Here we go again. So now it's blowing up with leads, but now it's blowing up with people that, want to be an insurance agent. So I kind of weeded out, what I needed to weed out, and did a couple interviews and hired my first agent. And I said, look, right now it is nose to the grindstone. I don't have any residual income. All my commissions I'm making, I'm putting right back into this business. And that's what my business model is. So I can't pay you salary. I can't pay you a marketing allowance. I can pay you half of my commission. So whatever she wrote, I paid her half. So I got the other half for managing the agency and everything else. She got the other half for selling it. And from there, in the last 2 years, it has just, and now because my income is, increased drastically. I'm able to give very sizable bonuses at the end of the year. I'm able to pay them way more than half commission because I have those residuals coming in. So it has definitely been a learning process. It's a whole different game from the Allstate business model. And we have I think we just hit over 5,000 head of horses insured. So that was a big deal for us. And now I'm recently engaged and moving to Dalhart soon. And we just opened up a second storefront. We have one in downtown Weatherford, and now we're opening one in Dalhart. The one in Weatherford, obviously, Cutting Horse capital of the world. We actually do have quite a bit of walk-in traffic at that location. We welcome people to stop in. It's a super cool office. Come have a cup of coffee and just watch Cowboy Channel and shoot the bull and talk about insurance. Love that office. There's always an agent there working. The Dalhart location, because that is in the feedlot capital of the world, is going to be more of our cattle division. So we're really going to amp up the cattle insurance side of our business. We have a few really, really good carriers. Hartford and Rockstone are a few that will be focusing on feedlot insurance, cow-calf deals, backgrounders, you name it, as far as the cattle division goes. So that's kind of a new and upcoming thing that we're going to be amping up here in the coming months. Looking for, agents that want to kind of specialize in that niche of it.
In the cattle side. Yeah. Talk a little bit about the different products. I know like the horse side, if one dies, you have the mortality, and then there's also maybe some lameness and different, and then the cattle side also.
Yeah. So I'll just kind of pinpoint like a couple of the really common like questions I have when I have these conversations. So just your basic run-of-the-mill equine insurance is a mortality policy that is going to cover that horse for the insured value, what you have it insured for in the event that it either has to be humanely euthanized or it dies.
And how do you get that value?
So how much time do we have? So the Cliff Note version is the best way to do it. What makes my life the easiest and the customers is if the minute that foal hits the ground, you insure it. If the minute you buy that horse from a sale, you insure it, because we'll insure it for what you paid for it. Okay. If it's a foal, we'll insure it for up to 3 times the stud fee. When your policy, they're annual policies, when it renews every year, either myself or one of my agents calls you and says, okay, have we won any money? Do we have any training costs incurred? How are we feeling? Is he blowing it out of the water in the show pen, or has he been a pasture pet? We just kind of get to know, what have you been up to for the last year? Are you, happy with this coverage, or do we need to increase or decrease it? So at renewal is the time that we can do that. Let's say that there has been people, kind of like you said, that have kind of known about horse insurance. They've had horses their whole life. They've never insured them. But the way that the market's going, they're kind of like, oh, man, it's going to cost me quite a bit to replace this horse. That is probably the conversation that we have about 80% of the time. The key importance, Crockett, with horse insurance is that the carriers are wanting to protect what you either have monetarily invested in these horses or the sweat equity that you have invested in these horses. They are not wanting to cover what the market's doing, what your trainer says your horse is worth, what their cousin brought at the horse sale. None of that.
So you can't just
have
pay
invested.
$15,000 for one and say, I think he's worth 30.
I would love that, because that's more premium and it's more commission for me.
Yeah.
But no. Or I've heard I got him cheap because they were going through a divorce, or it was the end of the horse sale and everybody was sleeping on him. I had all these, well, that's great, and I'm glad you got him for a steal, but that's what he's worth. A horse is only worth what somebody's willing to pay for him. And so that was something that it's a hard conversation. You have to be very, very careful, because as horse people, we're like really proud of our horses. We think they're the best thing ever. And it's a very delicate conversation that you have to have with someone and educating them on this, because I have to be the middleman and advocate, because I'm in between you and an underwriter that's in an office somewhere, which they know, what they're talking about, but I'm the middleman. So you say, Cori, I had this foal. I raised him as a weanling, and now he's 5 years old, and he's going to all the open ropings, winning a crap ton of money. I've got to get him insured. What I do is I go to work for you as the customer and say, what number ropings? How much money? Are we talking jackpots? Are we talking World Series? What are we talking about here? Who is he in training with? What have you paid monthly training bills? So I have what's called a justification of value. And that's what I fill out to go to my underwriter and say, Joe Bob says he bought this horse as a weanling for $500, but he wants to insure him for $50, and here's why. So then I go back and forth with that underwriter, and she's like, he ain't worth $50, he's worth $20. And I have to say, no, because this X, Y, and Z. And she'll say, all right, we'll insure him for $50. Or she'll say, Cori, we're going to insure this horse for $40 this year. Come back to me at renewal and let me know if he's won more money. So that's where it is so important, whether people listening do business with me or not. If you have horse insurance and your agent is not going to work for you like that, you need to find a new one, whether it's me or somebody else, because that is our job. So many applications and quotes come across my desk, Crockett, that agents have just literally sent an application to a customer. The customer's filled it out, and I don't even think they look at the thing, and they send it straight to the underwriter. It gets declined, or the underwriter says, no, this horse is only worth $10,000. I mean, I've seen so much of that. And I'm like, was this agent? I mean, are they just sleeping? Like, what are they doing? They don't care. They're not passionate about it. So just like in any industry, that gets a real ill taste in people's mouths. So I'd rather deal with somebody 9 times out of 10 that has never had horse insurance than someone that has, because majority of the time they're shopping for new insurance is because they've been burned by their agent. So the justification of value thing it's a big deal with my job. Being in the middle of what the market's doing. I go to Billings, Montana. Jan Parker has me up there at that horse sale, usually once a quarter, every other month, something like that. Biggest loose horse sale in the nation. Their February and September sales are the biggest, but that sale is what I base my numbers off of for the next 30 days is what that sale does, especially the loose horses. And it's been pretty accurate so far. But justifying value on horses is definitely a booger bear with any equine insurance agent. That's kind of the elephant in the room that it's hard. So best thing to do is insure the foal when it hits the ground, insure it as soon as you buy it. Don't wait.
Right.
Don't wait to say, I'll see if he makes, or I'll just do it. The average rate is about 3% of what you have the horse insured for. So a $10,000 horse is $300 for the year to insure it. I mean, you're going to spend that in brushes and peppy and I mean,
Yeah. That's a pretty small percentage.
Yeah. And everybody's threshold's different. You know, your $10,000 horse might be somebody else's $100,000 horse. So what is your financial threshold of the amount of money you're willing to gamble? Because owning a horse, investing money in a horse and not having the insurance is a gamble. Mm-hmm. They're 1,200 pound walking disasters.
What about like colics and vet bills and stuff? Is there a product for that?
Yep. So there's major medical coverage. There's some little different endorsements that that other carriers offer, but I don't like that because there's gray area. So for instance, there's a colic endorsement. So you can either have major medical, which is like anything at the vet that's not maintenance. So it's a wide, if you get sick, if you need x-rays, I mean, it's a very broad coverage. Okay. But then there's all these little endorsements like surgical or colic or this, or maybe it's disease. They're like maybe $150. Okay. So if there's a lot of gray area there. So with the major medical, if there's anything, if you need to go to the vet because your horse is limping, you have a deductible and then your limit for that occurrence. If you have a colic endorsement or an illness endorsement, well, what's illness? Have you read your policy? I mean, it's like those are like death traps to me, like little booby traps. Like, oh, can't do that. Oh, but is it this or is it that? Is it ulcers or is it? And I hate that. Like, I like my sleep at night and I want to stand behind what I'm selling. So spend the $500, spend the extra $450 to have your horse fully covered if they stub their toe instead of dancing around with that. So I don't even train my agents to sell it. It's available from the carriers, but I just think it's not a good experience.
You're probably going to end up fighting with them in the end.
You're going to fight with them. It's going to be a bad experience for your customer. I'll tell you this. I've never sold major medical and it paid out and the customer been like, I really didn't need that coverage. And I totally mean that. Like, I've never had somebody say, man, I wish I wouldn't have wasted the money on that ever. It's $500 for the year. What I tell my customers is it's $500 for the year. It covers up to $7,500 at the vet for anything that's not maintenance. Okay. When have you ever been to the vet for maintenance or not maintenance for under $500? Ever. In the 2000s, even the late 90s. I mean, that's not a thing. So it's not if you're going to spend it, it's when you're going to spend it. So plan on doing it now. Spend the $500. Call me at 2:00 in the morning when little Debbie's colicking, and I'll just say, go on with it. I got the tap. Just do that. It's the peace of mind. So the major medical, it will cover colic. I've had it cover kissing spine surgery. I've had it do ulcers, exploratory like x-rays, sonos, MRIs. Really, I mean, literally anything that you could think of, EPM. I mean, anything that could come up that's not just injecting their hocks for maintenance. No corrective shoeing, no teeth floating, just none of that. But we pay out a lot more major medical claims than we do mortality claims. In 2023, we paid out just over $250,000 in claims from my agency. And I would say 40% of that was mortality. So that's been pretty interesting to me. I wasn't sure how the loss ratio, how that was going to work when I got into this, but the majority of the claims that we file on major medical are horses that are valued at $15,000 or under. So the carriers, I get asked a lot, how is that rate set? Why is a rope horse 3.3% and a cutter's 2.95? I would think it'd be more risky for a cutting horse. Well, the proof's in the pudding. So the carrier is going to base it on claims paid out. So they're going to look at their numbers from the previous year and say, whoa, we insured or we paid out quite a bit more on these team ropers than we did the cutters. So we're going to adjust this a little.
Right. I don't think people understand the back end of the insurance companies. If anybody wants to hear, like, Gary Brecka is a good one. He does a lot of health stuff now, but he used to work for a life insurance company. And he's like, I can look at you and basically tell when you're going to die. I've seen so much data on medical conditions, on what people's activities were, what their BMIs are. I mean, they know they don't want to pay that money out, so they're going to mitigate the risk as much as possible.
Yeah.
So they know if this horse, we're taking this much risk on it, so it's going to cost this much.
Yeah. And again, that's just educating your customer, instead of saying, I don't know, the carrier just sets the rates. Well, this is why. And they're, oh, okay, So, yeah, that takes passion. Not everybody has that. So.
Right. And you gotta, they don't understand, like you said, as the agent, you're going in between the people, the underwriting and insurance, and we do it in credit card processing also, is the underwriting team, they're just looking at a spreadsheet. They don't know the people, they don't know the horse, they don't know the business, they don't know any of that. So they're like, from our statistics, this is the probability.
Yep.
I say, you got to go back and say, no, this is what's actually going on. This is blah, 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 this, whatever it is. And you're fighting for them. A lot of people probably don't realize that. Have you ever asked yourself why it costs so much to get paid? Hey everyone, this is a show that has a lot of entrepreneurs and business owners on, and the number one rule in business is to get paid, right? If you own a business, there's a good chance you're overpaying for credit card processing, and there's an even better chance that you're getting terrible customer service. At Diversified Payments, we make the payment process simple for both the customer and the business. Being based in Central Texas, we're able to offer business owners personal customer service while saving them money on their credit card processing fees. And we're the only payment company that I know of that's deeply rooted in the ranching and rodeo industries. If you think you're paying way too much in card processing fees, or you can't get in touch with your payment processor when there's an issue, go to diversifiedpayments.com/wealthycowboy.
So cattle is strictly mortality. We're not going to offer any sort of major medical on anything like that. If it's show cattle, we'll do kind of a specialized type policy. So it's more of agreed value and not market value. So if it's pasture cattle and it's a group of 200 pairs or 3-in-1s, whatever, we're going to go off market value. But the coverage is all of the same on the mortality. It's only going to cover, I call it an acts of God policy. So fire, lightning, wind, hail, suffocation. Suffocation could be from a blizzard, smoke. We just had all those fires in the Panhandle. If a lot of those cattle weren't insured, if they would have been insured, I don't even want to talk about how much that could have saved and helped and everything else. But again, it's just getting out there and educating people. And, most of the time when they aren't insured, they either think it's too expensive, it's a pain in the butt, or they just don't know about it. Yeah. So that is why I'm so passionate saying you can't afford to not insure your cattle or your horses. And that's why, my tagline is protect your legacy. This is your legacy. Why are you waking up every morning, busting your butt every single day to build something that you're just leaving in harm's way if there's a fire or a trailer accident or all different things that could happen, just to have that all taken away from you to start all over again? It's because they have not been educated on what, just like with life insurance, it's like life insurance for animals, it's just, we selling it, we're like, come on, like, what are you thinking? Yeah. But as a consumer side, they just have not been, nobody's reached out to them and said, hey, like, I care about this. You need to protect your legacy. You're busting your butt to build this herd of cattle for generations to come, and I want to be a part of protecting that. So that's, with the cattle insurance side, it's just mortality. But the claims that we've paid out on that have not been as much as horses, but it's also a lower risk, Yeah. We dealt with quite a bit of bloat this last year in the Panhandle, paying out claims on those, but that gets a little gray. But if you're in a high risk area, especially for blizzards, for fire, there's no reason not to have your livestock insured, and it's way less expensive than horse insurance. Yeah. So,
when now you're commuting a lot from the Panhandle down to here, and then also traveling to shows. What are you listening to?
All sorts of podcasts. In the beginning, it's 403 miles from my house to Tyler's driveway. And for a while, I was jamming out to all sorts of music, trying to stay awake, all wherever I'd be going. And I think it's important, the busier I've gotten, to be purposeful about how I spend my time and what I fill my cup with. And I've noticed that if that doesn't have any substance, then my life doesn't either. And it lacks wisdom and all of the things that come with that as being a mom and a business owner and a woman in this industry, that it's a man's world. It always has been, it always will be. And I love that. I wouldn't change that for anything, but it does make it harder for us in the industry. So I think having these conversations with people from all different demographics, all different walks of life in our industry, listening to podcasts, everything from, there's one feed room chemist that I've been listening to, and it's a vet. She's in the Northeast somewhere, and she just talks about different cases that have come in. I've learned so much from that, up to personal development, to religious stuff. Like if I need a swift kick in the butt and I'm feeling sorry for myself, I'll put on like Joyce Meyer, and I'm like, whoa, okay, like I'm good now. So I listen to kind of all sorts of different ones on my way to the office in the morning. There's one called 5-Minute Motivation. It's literally just 5 minutes, and I feel like I could fight a gorilla after I listen to it. I'm like, yes. And then there is what is that called? I can't think of it right now. But the point is that they're all diversified. So I think it's important to, when I have an agent that is onboarding with me, I give them a pie chart, and I'm like, this is what I fill my cup with. It's customizable for everyone where you are in your life. But I think you need some time with God every day. You need some time with your spouse or your loved ones every day, uninterrupted. You need some time to challenge yourself every day and get uncomfortable. That's a big one. Every single day. Mm-hmm. Do something that makes you nervous or makes you uncomfortable. And then lastly, something to thank the ones that have gotten you to where you are today. Whether that's writing a thank you note to your current customer, shooting a text, just saying, hey, I know we haven't caught up in a while, but I really appreciate you supporting my business. Something. So you're touching on all aspects of your personal self, growing your business, being present in your family, your relationship with God, and it just kind of goes full circle. Mm-hmm. And I think it is so important, Crockett, to touch on each one of those things every single day. Even if you don't do it 100% every day into one thing or the other, you're going to fail. As a dad, as a business owner, as a husband, we're all going to fail. We're human. But it's so important to wake up every single morning. And I just tell that to my agents, just try your hardest to complete that little pie every single day. And you'll look up 30 days from now and be like, wow, my son hasn't told me he hated me.
You'll be making progress.
Yeah. So that's kind of a way that I've been able to be more purposeful with my time.
Who are some of your top mentors?
Oh boy, my mom really is, like, to be honest with you, there is nothing that she's not seen, heard, been. She's the strongest person I know. Kristen York is one of my agents. We do quite a bit of business together as well, and we're researching some different models for some bigger things that are going to be coming out with Covered by Cori soon. And I have to just commend her so much. She's such a strong person, and she has definitely been like the cool to my hot. I'm like a little Tasmanian devil, and she embraces that when it's go time. But she's also been like that person that's been there that's like, hey, Cori, like just be wise about this and, really think this through. And she's just such a good, she's been a great attribute to not only the Covered by Cori team, but as a friend in my life. She's so knowledgeable. Her background in the industry is, it's just been so valuable. So I would say those two for sure. And again, just my sphere of influence in the culture that we've created with Covered by Cori, my agents, it's just, I get something from all of them. Another one that's been a big influence is Jan Parker that owns Billings Livestock Horse Sale. She is one hell of a lady, and she puts up with a lot, and she comes out shining. I don't know how she does it, but she is resilient. And I just commend her. I have so much respect for her and what she's done for our industry and continues to do. And she's a true testament to what it takes to blaze a trail. And she doesn't look at beside what's going on over here. She has blinders on, and she's like, this is how I'm doing it, and this is the way we're going to do it. And everybody else can just do what they want, but and it's working for her. So I definitely look up to her, but I would have to say my mom has probably been the biggest role model for me on not only being a businesswoman, but a mom, a wife, a Christian. She's something for sure. And she's kind of the mother hen of our office. So if there's never like a problem between the agents, but she's always kind of like the common denominator. Like if somebody's having an issue with a customer or whatever, my mom's always kind of the mother hen to talk everybody off the edge. And
yeah,
she's priceless.
What advice would you give to somebody getting started that's going to go out on their own, whether it be training horses or starting an insurance business or whatever it is?
I would just say make sure that you're doing it for the right reasons. This is so hard these days, but don't let money motivate you. I think you're setting yourself up for burnout, and you're not doing it for the right reasons. Everybody wants to be successful. That's obvious. Everybody wants to drive the brand new pickup and put a roof over their family's head and go eat a nice steak dinner and everything else. But that comes naturally if you do what you're passionate about and you treat people like you want to be treated. As cliche as that sounds, that golden rule they taught us in school is definitely one to live life by. And I would say just make sure that that what you're wanting to do, whether it's starting a business or going to work for someone, to be able to give it your all on those hardest days where you just want to throw the towel in, when you think, why am I doing this? Right there is the answer. What are you doing that for? Why are you starting that business or going to work for that ranch or this trainer or whatever? If it's passion driven, chase it down like a madman. But if it's money driven, you need to pray about it and think about it and think, where is this going to get me? Is that money going to fulfill me? I mean, it can do some cool stuff, but you're going to leave a legacy to go, man, he made a lot of money. Or are you going to leave a legacy like that guy was the best equine insurance agent there ever was because he loved what he did? That would be the advice that I would give.
On a lighter note, what's your favorite restaurant?
Oh, boy. I'm going to miss it so much. But Joe T. Garcia's.
Yeah.
Oh, the patio and the margaritas and the fajitas. But Dalhart has pretty good hole-in-the-wall Mexican food places, too.
It's hard to get that atmosphere, though.
Yeah, it is. So it'll just make it that much better when I get to come home. And I'm here for horse shows and stuff. It'll be a little bit more special than a daily lunch there or something.
Where can everybody find you? And if they want to get insurance, how do they go about that?
So obviously, if you're ever in Dalhart, America or Weatherford, Texas, stop by one of our offices. The preferred way to get a quote is coveredbycori.com. Cori's Cori.com. There's an equine tab and a cattle tab, and you can just click get a quote, and we just need simple information. I mean, what's your horse's name? How old is he? What'd you buy him for? How long have you had him? Simple. Once you submit that online, one of my agents or myself, we get it as a text and an email. We can have a quote to you in a couple hours. If everything looks good, we just need your signature on an application. We can have the horse bound in a couple hours. So, I mean, literally, if you reach out to us at 10 o'clock that morning, you can almost bet that you'll have that horse insured by the end of the business day. We do offer fall of hammer coverage. So at sales, if you text us, call us, email us, and say, hey, Cori, if you're a current customer, I just bought this horse, hip number XYZ at this sale, bought it for this much, I need to add to my policy, we can cover it immediately. So the website is the best way to reach us. It has our phone number, email, contact on that. Obviously, I built this business on Facebook. I'm totally open to getting Facebook messages. That's totally fine. But the quickest way, the most streamlined way is the website.
Okay. If y'all need insurance, y'all go check out coveredbycori.com. You can keep up with them on social media also, who all they insure, where those people are at all the time. You can see all that. And share this episode out. I'm sure somebody would like to hear Cori's story and how she's built this up. So share it out, and we'll see y'all next time.